Hey, let her do whatever what's the worst she can do? Light a fire in a daycare center?
I'm going to commit arson when I escape from these mortal chains.
Hello friends, trace amounts of science. Very interesting new post came up on my personal subreddit r/ReddX reads. It looks like it involves a legbeard of some sort. There's also, kids, but I think it's okay because they're working at a daycare. So they're protecting the children, like as you should. And I find that exciting in these stories for once. So we're going to give this one a try. Also the username, amazing. So let's check it out together, shall we? As we dive in. Thanks for being here, by the way. Don't send your kids to Daycare 1. Meet the monsters. By user, it's not gay, it's science.
Science rules.
Which is a reference to the channel as a whole, as well as Chris Trucker. So glad to see a new face in here. I said before that I should buy stock in Reddit because I bring so many people to the platform, but seeing how Reddit stock is gone, yeah, glad I didn't do that. Anyway, thanks for being here, for real. That is a primo username, I gotta say. Hi, ReddX, longtime fan, first-time poster, and I need to get this off my chest. For the past decade, I've worked at a daycare center for children younger than 5 years of age. There was a bit of unexpected time off when the plague happened, but other than that, I've been working full-time for many years. The work is satisfying, and while it can get a little gross or weird, the kids have an excuse because they are still figuring things out.
Down by the shores of the hanky-panky where the bullfrogs leap from bank to banky. Oh!
Kids are very often gross and or weird, yes. And some of those kids turn into people that, I don't know, invariably never figure things out. And that is how we end up with, it's the gross and weird adults that I really have a problem with. Some have been parents, others have been legitimate legbeards. There was also a neckbeard or two in there as well, but we'll see how things are received before I expound on all that. We'll focus on one for now, and we'll start from the beginning, as best I can recall. So we're traveling back, you're saying, like a decade into the past. That's what I'm going to presume.
We're going back in time.
The beginning of what? It's fine, please continue. Her name was Tumblrina, and she had a problem with everything.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
Yes, 2010s, indeed, I think it is. Tumblrinas ruled the landscape. Decade and a half down the road, the internet seems to belong to chud posters, so I don't know where we'll be in another decade. Things are going very interestingly. But please, tell me more. OP says, I don't just mean her mental health or personal hygiene being a problem with everything, which were both deplorable, of course. I mean, she'd often get into the typical Tumblr arguments, but like, in real life, yeah, that's a sign of being terminally online. Tumblrina refused to understand that the issues she crusaded for or against online simply didn't matter all that much in real life. People are not confrontational in general in real life. Maybe that's changing with the rise of, like, I'm the main character syndrome. But as far as I can recall, as my experiences go, yeah, people don't give a shit generally. If it's not about them, they don't care. She would rage at parents that told their sons not to play with Barbies. She'd point out microaggressions, either real or perceived, though mostly just perceived. That's what a microaggression is. Nobody knows they're doing it, but you're like personally offended. Who cares? You're allowed to be offended. It doesn't have to change anything. Then at some point along the way, we felt compelled to point them out, which would be okay, now I'm knowledgeable of that, but also, you're expecting people to change on your behalf, which is just, it's something that doesn't happen in real life, okay?
Yes! Does it work that way?
Tumblrina once lectured a black mother about, about her internalized racism and reassured her that she was definitely just as capable as a white mother. Race wasn't even part of the conversation until that point. Oof. I don't know why you have to go there. I guess that's just how she perceives the world, in literal black and white. The mom was simply commenting on how exhausting it is to be a mom. The bigotry of low expectation isn't something that I want to go into, but there you go. Yeah, okay, we have that now. Painting a hell of a picture. That's the last time I ever try and engage that lady in casual conversation. She dragged race into it, in a negative light at that. Ugh. She knows she's as capable as a white mother, okay? Christ. Needless to say, Tumblrina was unhinged. I'm getting those vibes, yeah. The stories I have to share could fill a novel, and they just might, but let's start before I truly knew her. Hey, can we get the publishing rights to that? Would that be okay? I don't want to buy a novel before it's written, but I like what I'm seeing so far. 2 paragraphs in, I'm sold. Anyway, we'll start the series on the day that she got hired. On a Friday, my boss told me that we'd have some extra hands to help out on the coming Monday. Wrangling toddlers isn't easy, so coworker and I were happy to add a third body to the crew. I have a good relationship with boss and coworker, and I imagine that the new hire would fit right in and everything would be copacetic. I mean, it's probably difficult to be a daycare worker, but you wouldn't work there unless you like kids. I don't think Tumblrina likes kids. She's just trying to supplement her disability check with some under-the-table income, isn't she? Maybe that's too far. Maybe that's too much to presume. Maybe I got it pegged all wrong. But her name is Tumblrina, so... That naive and hopeful younger version of OP had been dead for a long time now, and Tumblrina is the one that put the final nail in that coffin. No, don't let her do that to you. Come on, then she wins. Let's choose happiness today. Can we do that? Just try it. Feels good.
Could you have a great day? Could you do that for me? Thanks.
I arrived about an hour early on the Monday in question, as I generally do. Everything had been wiped down and reset on Friday, so all there was to do was sit and enjoy a $7 Starbucks latte. Why are you doing that?
Elliot Roger here, enjoying a nice vanilla latte.
Except it wasn't a latte, and I made it myself because working at a daycare doesn't pay diddly. Okay, you kind of got me there. It's like a inside ReddX reference, isn't it? Coffee really is just a foul soup with beans in it. You can make it yourself. Although, I'm sad that daycare work doesn't pay diddly. Like, I understand it has to be affordable for parents, and there's probably a lot of overhead. But like I said earlier, it's hard work. You deserve more than you get. OP reiterates, but again, I do enjoy the work, so I sat and took a deep inhalation of my brew. Something smelled off about it, though. Instead of creamy and smoky bean juice, I detected armpit, with just a hint of farts. There was the shadow of a rather large person outlined in the frosted glass on the front door. I froze at first because I thought it was a strange man. It's a tired dad dropping off his daughter. Can we not do this? Just say hello? Do you need something? Why are we all jumping to like being immediately gripped with fear? I mean, I do understand why, but maybe you just grab a knife or shake up the pepper spray and then you say, hello, do you need something? So you're prepared for what comes. Not to jump to the defense of strange man, but yeah, this is just part of, taking control. Don't you want to take control? Feels good. Opie says I sat and watched them look from the lettering to their hand and back about 3 times. Oh, like the name of the daycare's on the glass. Okay. Perhaps they were checking the address. Can they read? Did they write it on their hand? Yeah, in crayon. Eventually, I decided to get up and intervene. I mean, that's why you're there early, isn't it? I don't mean to come after OP. It's probably good that you have your head on a swivel, Assess the situation before acting. I take back everything I said, except you should get a knife and or pepper spray. And or a ReddX brand crowbar. Or lead pipe. I forget which one we're doing. Probably crowbar because it has some utility outside beating people to death. Anyway, what were we talking about? I cracked the door open and a blast of stale sweat hit me directly in the nose. Despite my sense of smell being knocked for a loop and my eyes beginning to tear, I could tell that it was a woman. Oh, strange man is a woman. A messy bun of greasy, dark blue hair sat atop her head, and it looked like she had tried to apply her makeup with a paint roller. I'm surprised she could even hold her head up. She was wearing stained yoga pants that barely managed to contain her natural, assets. You could see the slightest glimpse of a fupa that hung over her upper thighs. Draped over the top of all that was a Tweety Bird t-shirt that was covered in at least a dozen cigarette burns. Okay, I want the body to be like 50-year-old trailer trash, smoking a cigarette, curlers in her hair. And then the head, we just rip it off from every SJW-owned compilation on the internet. Like I said, definitely painting a picture. I managed to keep a straight face and asked if she was our new coworker. She flashed her greenish yellow teeth at me and confirmed that she was. My heart sank. I guess I can't be that surprised about the bad dental hygiene. I mean, she clearly doesn't take care of the rest of herself. But you spend so much time fighting injustices in the world, maybe you could fight the injustices in your mouth or just... It takes like 2-3 minutes a day, please. Anyway, the Ham Mountain says, "My name is Tumblrina. It's good to meet you." She reached in, grabbed my hand, and gave it a shake. Yeah, sort of a violation there. You're supposed to wait for people to extend their hands towards you. Then the shake is like, mutual, not forced. There's so many little nuggets of cringe in this. I returned the pleasantries, but in my head I was skeptical that Tumblrina would even last more than a week or two. Yeah, you guys got like a trial period or something? Trial period sucks for the workers that don't get hired, but yeah, can save a company a lot of heartache. I decided not to pull the ripcord at this exact moment because we did need the help and because she might be a more effective worker than first impressions had led me to believe. Yeah, let's keep telling ourselves that. I'm sure anyone can guess that I was completely wrong, but I've had my share of off days and it wouldn't be the end of the world to give her the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, she's got a Tweety Bird t-shirt on. The kids will love that. Ignore the cigarette burns. The kids love Tweety Bird.
I'm a tweet little bird in a deodorant page. Tweety's my name, but I don't know my age.
So I welcomed her in and gave her the rundown of our rules. She seemed to be fine with the majority, but our smoke-free workplace seemed to cause an issue. I mean, can you walk down the street for a smoke break, or are you coming back with that smoke on your clothes? That ain't no good for the kids, you see. Well, this is not a stereotypical Tumblerism. Tumblrina decided that she wanted to die on Tobacco Hill. Yeah, millions of Americans every year do the same.
Rolled up tight and lit on fire. Suck 'em down till you expire.
It was her right to smoke, and we were inhumane monsters to not understand her addiction. Yeah, you can't really drag your addiction into the workplace. That's not an argument that works. I'm just an alcohol addict, okay? Yeah, I should be able to drive this school bus. It's fine. She talked like this was a choice that I personally made to ensure that she was as miserable as possible at work. I continued to explain that this was a state requirement for childcare licensing and that we would lose our certification if she was caught smoking. I might not be a smoker, but I do understand that it isn't like black tar or China white or whatever the fuck. You can contain yourself for a few hours. Yeah, I mean, there's a physical side to a nicotine addiction, but it's definitely not as severe as other substances. Opioid derivatives. That's when you're really in trouble. Well, maybe you can contain yourself, but judging by Tumblrina's massive frame, self-control was definitely not her strong suit. We'll return to this a little bit later. Once I had Tumblrina situated and listened to half a lecture about how I was only in charge because of the color of my skin, well, my eyes rolled out of my head because I put in the work to get here, something Tumblrina couldn't begin to grasp. I don't want to get tilted by this cow years later, but that shit did rub me wrong. I don't blame you at all. I've had the same thing thrown in my face. It's fine. It's not a problem with you. This is how they justify their version of the world, okay? I don't know how long you had to deal with Tumblrina, how long ago your last interaction was, but let it go. It's fine. Don't let somebody else live rent-free in your head. That's dumb. So the kids finally begin to arrive, and I love all of the kids that we care for, although there are a few specific favorites. Now, you definitely can't play favorites, but inevitably you will. One of these favorites is a little boy we'll call Petey. Petey is a sweetie. Petey is my little helper. Petey must be protected at all costs. I welcome in all of my little wards and let them have their free play for a couple of hours while the late parents shuffle in. Yeah, that's me. Sorry. Free play is easy. Make sure everyone's sharing nicely, and yeah, the job basically does itself. Tumblrina disappeared for a long time during this period, and I didn't bother to go looking for her. Why? She's a new hire. I would say that you should definitely be supervising. You said you're a supervisor? I look back and no, not really. Just a worker with a coworker, so I guess the boss is sitting with the L on this one. Do you really like your boss bad enough to just hand him a shit sandwich like this, though? Hey, let her do whatever what's the worst she can do? Light a fire in a daycare center?
I'm going to commit arson when I escape from these mortal chains.
Yeah, that's actually pretty bad. I don't know this person. You can't just give her the run of the place. But okay, your life, Opie. There was more than one occasion where an extra pair of hands would have been useful. Yeah, that's what she was hired for. Make her do it. Kids can be rambunctious even as early as 7 a.m. Yeah, oh God. It's just eyes snap open. They're like, woo! Keep going till 2 a.m. It just never stops. I do enjoy my children's lust for life, but maybe we just turn it down a notch or two, you know? OP continues, I didn't go get her because the pair of hands that I wanted were not the fat, nicotine-stained ones that wouldn't do any lifting, while also telling me all about my white privilege and complaining about her myriad mental issues or representation of fat people in media. I've spoken to Tumblrina for all of 30 minutes, and it was clear that this wasn't going to work out. I was not the one in charge, however, though I would make some suggestions to the big boss. I continued on about my morning routine, with PD tailing me and telling me all about Blippi at a science museum. Yeah, thank God my kid grew out of Blippi, you know?
So much to learn about, it'll make you wanna shout.
Hey, stop!
I seen all the episodes, including the one where he did the Harlem Shake and pooped all over his friend. Have you seen that? It's on the Internet Archive. Download it before they delete it. Blippi's darkest moment. I thought about making a video on it, if I could be the one to break that story, but yeah, he's got millions of dollars. He could squish me like a bug. And kids will never really say anything that blows your mind, also factual, but the misremembered steps of the water cycle were enough to keep my mind off of my weird coworker that was skulking around somewhere. Yeah, Petey knows how rain is formed. That's good. You pee in a lake, it goes in the sky, then it comes down on somebody else. More unsettling than all that, however, is where did our fucking Legbeard go? Hey guys, I'd like to tell you a Legbeard story. Then she left for an extended period. Okay, well, we'll find her. Although there has been recountings and mentions of her, and actually, come to think of it, I don't miss her all that much. We can just talk about anything else aside from, I don't know, SJW talking points. I'm simply not that interested in that, surprisingly. When the time for the morning meeting came, we call it circle time. I like morning meeting. Then I imagine all the kids in little suits with ties. I set off in search of Tumblrina so I could introduce her to the children. And I found her, quite shortly, in the makeshift kitchen area. She sat her gigantic happy ass down and helped herself to the boxes of animal crackers that were meant to be the snack that we generally have after circle time. Not a few boxes, all of them. She hungry. She didn't have breakfast. She got You don't understand. Her sugars are low. Before 9 in the morning, she had decimated nearly 40 boxes of cookies. Where they had to be small boxes. They're child-sized boxes. And animal crackers, actually, they're pretty good for you, you know? Just try and spin it anyway. It's totally okay she did what she did. I know these children's parents are paying for them to be here, and probably they're going to starve today, but you must understand, this fat land whale was hungry. She was just sitting there, sipping a 10th milk carton among its 9 fallen brethren. Those are the tiny ones too, right? Or is she drinking like 10 liters of milk in less than an hour? I was livid. Kids live by a schedule, and this had set the entire thing off balance. Yep, those kids are expecting cookies. They're not gonna be happy.
Put that cookie down.
The most enraging part was that she didn't even seem to notice how inconceivably pissed off I was as I shoved a few dollars into her hand and told her to fix the situation. Somewhere deep down inside of her fat-laden little brain, she was intelligent enough to understand that I was upset at this point. And in response, she explained how this was her form of self-expression and how it's unacceptable that the patriarchy expect her to remain at a size that wouldn't kill her before she reached her mid-30s. Yeah, how about you apologize for your misdeeds? Nah, I gotta make excuses for myself. Oh, Tumblrina, there is no excuse for you. I just said, sure, whatever. The fight to develop heart disease will need to continue at a later date, and continued to badger her out the door. I like this OP. She got some claws on her, you know? I don't know what sort of snack she'd come back with, but anything was better than being left to the mercy of a few dozen hungry children. I mean, you guys are licensed. Doesn't this go against something? Don't they have to be healthy snacks? Well, she comes back with like a bunch of honey buns. Kids are sitting there eating 20 grams of sugar and 15 grams of saturated fat. Then you're just gonna have a classroom full of like tiny Tumblrinas. Is that what you want? I guess it's slightly better than leaving a complete stranger alone with all the children. I carried on with the morning meeting, explained who the new blue-haired lady was, and we carried on with a story and a song. And then another story and a song. And then another story and a song. At this point, I'm clearly stalling for time. The kids don't know. They're having a good time, singing, clapping. Get to hear about the hungry caterpillar. And I like that you referred to her as the blue-haired lady instead of, you know, like this fat planetoid that found its way into our orbit. Tumblrina is literally nowhere to be found. It's around this point that it becomes clear that no matter how repulsive I find this pig woman, I'm gonna need to keep her under my thumb, and perhaps with enough effort, she could be molded into a halfway decent caregiver. Oh, come now, OP. She can't even care for herself. You should have had her under your thumb the entire time. But better late than never, that's fine. First, however, I would need to go and find her. Snack time would need to be kicked down the road, so we moved into a structured activity about colors. There was some dissent about this decision. Kids love a schedule, like I said. Yeah, they're expecting cookies. They're like, but miss, you forgot about our snack. I didn't forget, everything's just gone off the rails. But you shouldn't panic, children. I'm definitely not panicking. Eventually, however, they did all get seated with their crayons and were absorbed into the activity. I couldn't leave them by themselves, and my coworker wasn't due to arrive until lunch, but I managed to take a peek into the parking lot. I wasn't sure if Tumblrina had driven in, at least until I spied her vehicular monstrosity in the parking lot. Oh no. It was an early 2000s Astro van, which could be legitimately useful in a profession like this. Yeah, that's like the soccer mom van, isn't it? Unfortunately, the van wasn't fit for field trips of any sort. In fact, I was rather uncomfortable even having something like that so close to the school. You see, the van was covered with lewd pictures of course, of some very plus-sized anime characters. There was nothing truly explicit, but it was not the kind of thing that you'd want a child to see. As my eyes finally got over the horrible aesthetic choices, I noticed that there was a great big lump slumped in the front seat. That bitch! She hadn't gone anywhere! She was sitting there in her degenerate mobile, having her own private karaoke sing-along. Oh, how nice for you. You get paid for this, do you? I was so upset that I broke protocol without even thinking about it. I sprinted to her vehicle and wrenched the door open, berating her endlessly about her complete disregard for the kids. She ate their fucking food! I dug into her lack of professionalism, pointing out her complete lack of preparedness for the first day on the goddamn job. She just sat there, dull-eyed and heavy-lidded like some monstrous humanoid mud pie. Well, I spilled every ounce of my frustration out. I really don't think she's absorbing any of that. She's not hearing you at all. Just has her own little monologue going on in her head, but bless you for trying. I love lashing out, I love pushing back, but yeah, some people are just immovable objects, so we're gonna have to learn how to push harder. When I started to wind down, she put a fat paw onto my shoulder and reassured me that she was just about to leave and get the cookies. I had to get back to the kids, so I huffed and stalked back to work. I knew those cookies would never make it back to the classroom. It's a bit of foreshadowing, isn't it? I texted coworker and informed her that we would need some emergency supplies because this new hire was a fucking living nightmare. I think that's the best way to put it. I'd call up Big Boss and be like, you need to let her go today, now. It's her or me. I'd love to have a new pair of hands, but this is like having negative hands. One hand's cleaning up the kids and one hand's cleaning up her mess. She's a net negative. Anyway, I tried to calm myself and sat down to color with the kids. Oh, I like that. See, that's the sort of thing that makes me think a daycare job might be all right. You can make a little caterpillar out of pipe cleaners and shit and be like, that's my job for the day. But yeah, it's more difficult than all that. Petey kept asking me if something was wrong or why I looked mad. I just told him that sometimes adults get sleepy and I probably didn't get enough rest. That seemed to satisfy his curiosity. Stuff like that is why I love working with kids. They never try to dig too deep. That's true. They take everybody at face value. I admire that, but also it's sort of terrifying. Finally, the hour of structured activity had passed, and now it was time for 90 minutes of outdoor play before lunch. Yeah, please feed these fucking kids. They probably didn't even have a breakfast. They're like, they gotta feed you at daycare. They didn't. Do you have any diabetics among them? I might be a little bit more worried about this. I took the kids into the back for outdoor activity today because I knew Tumblrina was going to come rolling right up to the school again in her abortion mobile. Did she have a lot of coat hangers in the back? Is that how we earned the name? How could one person be so clueless? How could I get rid of her? My mind wandered again when I suddenly smelled smoke. Sickly sweet cigarette smoke. Sometimes kids from the nearby high school wander by or try to hide out near the fence to burn one. Not the first time I've told them off, but as I peered around looking for the smokers, I was greeted by the same gigantic anime watermelon asses.
Okay, all right. Now, do you prefer Fatty or Miss Boombaletti?
That had cringed me nearly to death not even an hour earlier. She didn't even... There's like such massive disrespect, dude. She was still there, sitting in her stupid goddamn motherfucking bullshit degenerate moron mobile. Oh, she hadn't gone anywhere. She drove around the block to continue the karaoke and apparently burn a few more cigs. That is ludicrous. I highly suspect that I was the one who paid for those cigs as well, since, spoilers, she never gave me back the $10 that was meant for emergency cookie funds. Rage doesn't begin to describe the depths of anger I had toward her at this point. Not to pick everything apart, but where are you getting animal crackers for 25 cents each? Not in these days and times. Not a decade ago either, I don't think. Maybe they got a supplier, I don't know. My hate was in full control, and without a second thought, I picked up a Mr. Potato Head and pitched it at her windshield. It's probably not gonna crack. It's hollow. It's plastic. That is hilarious, though. The kids were shocked. I like to think she snatched it out of a kid's hand. He's like sitting there trying to put the ears on, and teacher's like, "Give me that shit, yeet!" This had come out of nowhere in their eyes. I laughed it off as, "Oh, look, it's a flying potato head." So funny, dude. As I shuffled them back into the front yard and away from the second-hand airborne poisons. Tumblrina rolled down her window to say something, but I pointed at her and then at the daycare while mouthing, "Now." If she didn't show her ugly mug before backup arrived, I'd make it my life's mission to ensure that she regretted that choice. Dude, day one, we're already hostile work environment. This is this is going really great. I'm liking that a lot. Well, Tumblrina waddled back in 15 minutes later, feigning obliviousness, again, to the fact that I was about ready to bite her nose off. Slowly I was adjusting to her way of manipulation. I'd either have to get her fired by any means necessary, or I'd have to learn to combat her manipulation tactics with a few tricks of my own. Screaming in her face clearly wasn't going to work. More spoilers, getting her fired didn't work either because our daycare runs on a shoestring budget, and Tumblrina was just waiting to scream wrongful termination. No. In order to subvert her ways, I'd need to take up her causes, participate in her delusions. Little did I know how deep some of those delusions would run. To be continued. Oh, that's tasty. That's real good. Nice cliffhanger there. My goodness. I'm chomping at the bit for more of this. Yeah, Tumblrina's an interesting character. Obviously, like Moby Vic before her. Also, kind of like Hamthrax. Just very good at using corporate law as a sword. I don't know what kind of fat people dojo they teach that, that martial art in. But it certainly seems effective. At least at keeping them employed for some period of time before inevitably it all falls apart. And this is only like, it's not even this is just the morning of the first day. I don't know how many incidents like this we're gonna have, but yeah. How can you beat a Mr. Potato Head being chucked at like an anime van? That's... that slays me, dude. So, I hope you come back, write more. I might have jumped on it a little too quick, but I did see quite a few upvotes in the subreddit, so maybe people want to see it. I guess people in the comments can let me know how hard I gotta beg OP for the next part. I'm not gonna beg, it's fine. It comes when it comes. But I do hope that it comes, because this story, mwah, beautiful. And thank you guys so much for listening and hanging out and doing the thing and signing up on the Patreon or the YouTube memberships, at least the people that want to support month to month. Most of them already have, but there's probably a few people out there that haven't yet. Maybe you just didn't know, so I'm telling you right now, you can if you want. I'd like that a lot. We've also got a fourth wall shop with some merch over there. I bet you'd look amazing in a ReddX t-shirt, an embroidered one, the same one that I have. But if you don't want to do it, can't afford it, whatever it is, I hope you like, comment, subscribe on the video. If you don't want to do it, can't spend the time, whatever, you already watched the video this far. It's fine. I appreciate you. Watch another one if you wanted, but what's most important, friends, is that you remember that you are loved, you're worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one. So until then, bye-bye.